guys, how you doing? I'm Kent Tilley. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about how to properly use the RSP. Because if you don't properly use the RSP, then the TFSA is going to work better for you over the long run every single time. And I think a lot of people make this mistake with the RSP, and that's going to actually hurt them in the end. I do like RSPs as part of an overall financial plan, but allowing yourselves to also incorporate the TFSA into that is going to be huge. So I'm just going to run through, basically a side-by-side example of an RSP versus a TFSA. And then what I'm going to do is say, well, what if you shifted it? And what would your retirement look like? How would it be improved if you actually just followed this one little step? So let's pretend you've got a 40-year-old human being that has never put any money into an RSP or a TFSA, and they are in a 35% marginal tax bracket. Every single part of their RSP contributions is going to land in there. They have $75,500 worth of TFSA room, and they want to retire at 65 years old. So maybe I'm going to say to them, you know what? Maybe your retirement plan is as simple as maxing out your TFSA every year and trying to get it completely full by the time you're 65. So let's look at that and say, okay, well, you've got $75,500 worth of room. You've got 25 years left. So that's going to take you $3,020 over the next 20 years to catch up on that room. Plus you get an extra $6,000 in room every single year. And that will go up with inflation as TFSA room gets larger and larger over time. However, we'll just keep this simple and say, okay, we're going to put $9,020 into your TFSA every single year until you're 65. And that's all you're going to do. And over that course of time, you got a 6% rate of return. That's what you got. And you have $494,878 in your tax-free savings account at 65 years old. That's absolutely fantastic. $500,000 that you can access tax-free in any amount you want at any point in time that you want is amazing. This is really going to help your retirement. Now, the other person on the other side says, well, no, I want to do all of that into my RSP. So they say, okay, I'm going to invest $9,020 into my RSP every single year, and I'm going to do the same thing, and that's it, because I want the tax refund. I love the tax refund. So you're like, okay, that's fantastic. And they do that, and at the same time, they have the same investments in their RSP that this other person did in their TFSA, got that same 6%. They have the exact same amount of money at the end of the day in their RSP, $494,878. So they turn 65 and they want to retire. So they're like, okay, what am I going to do? And when you're looking at a retirement plan, you have to guess, okay, well, how old are you going to live until? And so let's say this person, we're going to assume they're going to live until 90 years old. Spending is going to change as you age. I mean, you start to spend less. Early years of retirement, you kind of want to spend more. But I'm not going to get into that today. We're just going to pretend that you're going to pull out the exact same amount of money every single year. Plus, you've got CPP and OAS, and you were working your whole career, so you get maximum CPP, and you've lived in Canada for 40 years since you were 18, so you're going to get max OAS. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce the rate of return that you're going to get in retirement to 4%. Because if I keep it at 6, we're pulling out the same amount. Well, as you know, over the course of 25 years in retirement, well, that same amount of money that you're pulling out of your RSP in year 1 isn't going to be the same amount in year 25 due to inflation. So we'll reduce it to 4, and call that our real rate of return in retirement. I have not actually done this properly, because what I should have done is done the real rate of return all the way through. In this case, it doesn't really matter. I just kind of want to prove a point. So what you can do here is you say, okay, my CPP is going to be $1,253 per month. My OAS is going to be $642 a month. And I can pull $2,612 per month out of my RSP for 25 years, and it will be empty by the time I'm 90 years old. On the other side, on the TFSA side, the numbers are identical. However, there's one absolutely massive difference here, is that every single dollar that you're pulling out of your RSP in retirement is taxable, while every single dollar you're pulling out of your TFSA is completely tax-free. So the only taxable income you have on the TFSA side is your CPP and OAS, which adds up to $22,752 in taxable income a year. Not including like pension tax credits and stuff. This person generally, on average, in all of the Canadian provinces, is going to owe about $2,000 a year in taxes on just over $54,000 worth of income. So they've got roughly $52,000 of after-tax income to spend every year in retirement, which works out to $4,340 per month. On the RSP side, that person has 100% taxable income, so they have $54,084 in completely taxable income. Depending on the province, this could be more or less, but I roughly took an average, and the average province on that kind of income is roughly going to tax you about $10,500. So this person after tax has $3,632 compared to the person that used the TFSA, who has $4,340. They've got like $8,500 extra dollars every single year because they use their TFSA compared to their RSP. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. That's going to make a huge difference in retirement. Who wants to pay that kind of tax? Nobody. So what I always talk about, and something that I stress every single time, is that if you are going to use an RSP, then you have to use the refund for good. Otherwise, you should just be using the TFSA, unless you've got them both maxed out or whatever. But most people don't, and most people will choose the RSP before the TFSA and then not actually utilize the refund to their benefit. They're just going to go and spend it on things, and they're just going to waste it. And if you waste it, that is going to cost you a ton of money. This is like tens, close to hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax in retirement because you spent it. So you have to use it for good. And one of the examples that I talk about all the time is taking that and putting it into your TFSA. Another thing that you could do is use it to pay down your mortgage. You could use it to, pay down high interest debt, which would be a good idea if you've got some of that. You could reinvest it back into your RSP. You could do whatever, but in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinvest that money into the TFSA. So what I said at the beginning of this video is that this person in this example fell into the 35% marginal tax rate. So every dollar that he or she puts into his RSP is going to get him or her a refund of, what is that? 9,020 times 35% is 3,000. Where the heck did I say? $3,157 a year. I had another amount on my sheet. There was a 3,000 when I was like, that's not right math in my head. So they're going to get a refund of $3,157 per year. They're going to take that money and they're going to put that into their TFSA. Now they're going to allow that to build until they're 65 at that same, that same 6% rate of return, same investment portfolio in the TFSA as the RRSP. Who knows, might be a little different, but in this case, it's going to be the exact same. Now they've got that 400 and whatever, 94,000 in their RRSP. They've got 173,000 in their tax-free savings account, and they're going to get CPP and OAS. So if you just compare apples to apples and you say, okay, I'm going to draw them all out at 65 the exact same way. Now you've got the same numbers from the RRSP, the CPP, and the OAS, but now you can also pull an additional $914 tax-free out of your TFSA every single month of every single year until you turn 90, from 65 until 90. So this person is going to have $5,412 coming in every month, but they're going to pay the same amount of tax as the first person because all of that tax-free income, TFSA income's coming in tax-free. So they still have that roughly $10,500 annual tax bill, but after tax now they have $4,537 to work with compared to the $4,340. It's not a huge difference. That's only $200 a month, but $200 a month indexed to inflation for 25 years is still a substantial amount of money. That's still $60,000 or $70,000 or whatever the heck that number is, that is going to be beneficial, especially because what the TFSA can really come in handy for is to say, I've got a big expense, I want to take my family on a big trip, I can pull that money out tax-free and not add to your tax bill. So maybe you can just utilize that in sort of extenuating circumstances in retirement where those big expenses come up. This also gives you a really good opportunity to do some more complex retirement planning when the time comes, where you can say, okay, maybe I'm going to manipulate how I'm taking this money out, depending on what my situation looks, because this could enable you to get a huge increase in what you're going to get from OAS, or a huge increase of what you're going to get from CPP, because if you delay CPP for 5 years, that goes up 42%, and if you delay OAS for 5 years, that goes up 36%. So maybe you can peel out of your investments earlier and then have that sort of guaranteed income later in life that's just going to last you forever and allow you to live off of the government benefits that are now enhanced. So I'm not going to get into that too much in this case, but for today, I hope you guys learned something. So I guess the moral of the story here is if you're going to spend your refund, then use your TFSA. It's the bottom line. It's going to work out way better for you in retirement. But if you can actually utilize your refund to do some good for your financial position, then it's going to be great. So, there's benefits and drawbacks of the RRSP. TFSA doesn't really have drawbacks, I wouldn't say. I mean, it's a great thing. Everybody should utilize it as much as they possibly can. And hope you learned something. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks.